Ken, if we use your philosophy about you get what you deserve, would you
Pretty
say
accurate, isn't it?
You don't deserve to play finals this year?
Well, we don't give up on anything, but we are where we are because of what we've done. And tonight's another accurate assessment. We're okay and we're in it for bits, but then when they stepped on the pedal, we weren't able to keep going with them, and they were just too good by the end of the night.
That's sort of been probably a pattern against really good teams, Hawthorn.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Geelong, what do you put that down to? Is it your lack of a ruckman a big factor, or are there other factors?
Oh, and I think it's across the board. There's a few things. They're in those against those teams, the quality teams, they're able to step up a gear. We're doing everything we can to be in amongst the contests, and I think we're doing pretty strong things and pretty brave things at times. But when they've been able to step up, we just haven't been quite good enough to hang on to them and stay with them. It gives you some hope that what we've got is okay, but it just means you've got to be able to get there for 4 quarters, and that's just an improvement thing that we look for.
Were you disappointed with the third quarter when the game?
Yeah, our third quarters all year have been disappointing. We're not just tonight. We just haven't been able to respond after the breaks, and we've done a lot of really good work. But as I say, that's what the good teams do. They really come after you at that point, and we weren't able to get any control. In the contested side of the game, a little bit at that stage, a bit of contest at ground level. We weren't clean enough, and they were able to be clean.
Where do you sort of rate GWS in terms of what you faced this year? I know they did a job on you.
Yeah, look, I'm not into putting too much onto any other side in the competition. It's not my job to worry about where I do or don't rate them, because I think the competition shows you week in, week out. You look a bit foolish sometimes when you start putting a rating on some and not on the others, because next week that all changes. I think they're a worthy side where they position themselves on the ladder tonight, so I think that's about second. So that would suggest they're one of the good sides in the comp.
Do you look at some individuals from that game? Was it too hard because the conditions just...
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, Rooch, to be fair. You look at those conditions tonight and you say, what can you actually learn or see out of that game, and what improvements can we get? But I think they're quite rare conditions in AFL football at the moment. So we'll sit back tonight, have a little bit of a look at it, and see where we go, and get ourselves the best chance to perform again next week.
So how do you think they handled it all up, the way in which that came with the wind and so forth?
Yeah, I think it was a significant challenge for us, there's no doubt, but I think we showed that we were capable for the first half, and they dominated the second half. I think they were, as I said before, they were able to be cleaner and tighter in tough conditions, in really tough conditions, where we're probably a little bit fumbly compared to them. If you looked at the two sides in comparison, you'd say one was a significant bit cleaner after half time, and the other was a little bit unsure of what they were trying to get done.
How do you address that, the fact that they were able to get a run on, and obviously not the first team to do it this year, and you weren't able to sort of come back and match it? Is that a mental thing? Is it?
No, I think it's, tonight I think there were some challenges against, who we're playing against. They were able to get hold of the ball, and we know that their ability when they get out and going is pretty hard to stop for any side, and, it's a game of inches in conditions like that. Tonight you get a couple of snaps away, you give away a couple of free kicks at a forward 50 stoppage or a back 50 stoppage for us, and they get an easy shot at goal. That builds their momentum. So, in those conditions, that causes some scrappiness at times.
So where do you find that extra gear that these others...
We just keep working, you keep going at it, and you keep looking at the players that we've got, and we give them opportunities to show us that they've got that capability. I think that's what you do as a football club. You keep trying to develop your list to get them better. That's what every club's doing, and that's what the club on top of the ladder's doing. That's what the club at the bottom of the ladder's doing. That's what we're doing every week. We're trying to develop our talent and strengthen our list all the time.
Do you feel helpless as a coach on a night like this when you can't really do too many strategic things because you're not sure how the game's going to play out in front of you?
No, not so much helpless. I wouldn't say helpless, but it's a challenge because it's a tough conditions out there for the players to play in, and tactically you don't do too much because of it is a game of a slippery ball, sliding through, getting over the back, taking one clean off the ground. They're the things you've got to be able to do in those conditions, and not too much tactics is going to help you.
So what do you make of the next 5 weeks?
Well, it's an interesting one because we go every week, and we'll start with next week, and we'll go every week, and we'll go there and give us our best chance to perform well, and hopefully, as I said, keep looking at opportunities to see our list develop and see what players that are capable of improving. But tonight's a hard one because the assessments go out a little bit because of the conditions. You sit back and you go, okay, let's wait and see. We have the Magpies have a bye this week, so you don't have any games into players that you would perhaps look to try and get some opportunities into. But we might have to take a couple of those chances and see what happens.
So who would you think about in that regard? Is it?
Oh, there's some obvious ones. There's some obvious ones. We had Need, Namon, and Crack, and and White and Lobe playing in the sample. And we've got a couple of younger boys in the sample that at some stage, hopefully, if they can get their form at the level we want. We don't want to. I'm not giving games away. We want to make sure that you earn a game, and we've done that with players this year, with Austin and Darcy Byrne-Jones. They're blokes, and Impey played forward, and Cleary tonight again for the first half strong. But you look at that, they're getting better. So we want to make sure people earn those opportunities.
So who do you want to specifically look at before the season ends?
Anyone that's prepared. Anyone's ready to have a go and put their hand up and shows that consistently week in, week out. I think that's the key. I'm not going to say that who they are and what they are. I think anyone who wants to give themselves a chance, they can do that.
So it's still a case of, I suppose, where there's life, there's hope.
Absolutely. That's what happens in this game. You just don't know, do you? You don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. Yeah, it looks unlikely, but we live in the thought that we can control what we can, and that's next week's performance and next week's effort.
So at this point, it might be early to do the full summary of where the year's at, but is there something that's in your mind has really come as a strong message about where Port Adelaide has to get better for next year? Yeah, look, there's probably quite a few to sit down and talk about, but you'd say we learnt some stuff already this year. I think that the way our stoppage work's been able to change itself around and organise itself to a point where we get dominated against in ruck. We have a courageous ruckman trying, but we do get dominated there. So we've been able to work off a negative base. That's a positive thing for us. We've got some of them younger players. We look forward to seeing their games develop. And I think our people would see that. And sit there tonight. That's the other thing we should pay credit to with the conditions we had out there today for our 28,000 odd that come along and sit there and get misty rain and wind and freezing cold. I want to thank them for being there and make them understand that they're important and that we need to continually turn up each week for them and show them that we're still trying to get better. So what do you tell one of the players who everyone was looking at the start of this game, John Butcher? So what do you tell him about his work today? It's
a tough one again. If you look at all the marking forwards on the ground, I think they found it pretty hard, and pretty hard to get off anything. And so it's almost a hold a little bit and see what happens, and make some assessments as the week unfolds. Not get too carried away with a poor conditions game, and make an assessment on a player who probably is never going to be great in those conditions.
Is there anything you told the players about what they should do in a third quarter like that when the game seems to be slipping away?
Yeah, we do. We've done plenty in that space, and we've talked about lots of things that they can do. But as it turns out, when they're out there doing it, they've got to challenge the opposition. It's like the arm wrestle. When they push, you've got to be prepared to hold and push back, and keep hanging on and keep hanging on and keep pushing, because the game doesn't always go your way. And against high-quality oppositions, you've got to hang on for a bit longer, and you've got to have the ability to push back, and you've got to make half a play a play. That's what you've got to be able to do. You've got to actually get a play away that's pretty tough to get away in normal circumstances to give yourself some momentum, and that's what good sides force you to do. And we haven't been able to get that away.
Part of that, there are a couple of goals at the start of the third quarter. There looked to be a couple of defensive lapses, maybe a little sort of lapses in concentration where they were able to get the ball out through the back.
Yeah, look, I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked back at the game, but look, they were able to do some things in the third quarter that was damaging to us. There's no doubt about that. And we exposed our young backline to too much pressure. Whether that be repeat stoppages in that area, or whether that's be cleaner ball coming into their forward 50 as going into our forward 50. They're things we've got to get better at.
Any other injuries at all?
No, I think we got through all okay. So.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.